Hello and welcome to the Garden Gurus. I'm Trevor Cochran. We've got a very special show for you today, packed full of down-to-earth gardening advice. And in this story, which I'll show you a bit later on, we're doing something that's all about kindness and helping kids with cancer. Here's what's coming up on the rest of the show. Light can play an important role in any garden, and Sue shares the best way to achieve this. And we start a very special garden makeover project.
Digging around. Dig in the ground. I got my spade, I got my hoe, I got my rake, and I'm ready to go.
Outdoor lighting makes a big difference to an outdoor space, and using lights throughout your garden beds will show off all those amazing plants at night, or place them around decking or any hard landscape areas, and this will highlight any architectural features of the garden. And if you're a bit of a handy person, I think you'll be able to create a great design in no time and light up the whole backyard. I'm willing to bet you could start an outdoor lighting project on Saturday afternoon and have it finished by the time your friends come around in the evening with a handy DIY kit. Think about colour and its effect on plants when it comes to lights. White will produce the most natural effect and brings out colours of the foliage. Red turns foliage brown at night, and green brings out the colour of foliage, but it's not a natural shade. Blue will give your garden a mysterious tropical feel. To save time, work out what you're trying to do when it comes to lights. Is it for access around a deck area or to highlight something such as a pot? This RGB colour Wi-Fi deck lights kit is a plug-and-play system. It's so easy. Everything you need for the lights are in the box. Well, nearly everything. Power is important. And if you don't want to get a new socket installed, this will probably be your starting point to where you are going to begin installing the lights. I've chosen to install these lights on the steps leading down to the pool so you can see where you're going at night. Also adds a little bit of ambience to the pool area. Now they come in a couple of sizes, 30mm and 45mm. And the 30mm is ideal for this situation. They're fantastic because they withstand the rain, the heat, anything you can throw at them. And they're 12 volts, so anyone can install them. It's as simple as this. 1.8 metres wide is the maximum they can go apart, and you join them together with a simple plug and socket system. You drill your hole, you've got a cable, you push the cables through, put the light in, join them up behind, and that's it. So easy. The best bit now is controlling them via Wi-Fi garden light controller. You can adjust the colour, intensity of the light, and the pattern. Perfect for teenage children. 2 choices for turning them on and off, by a timer or manually from the Holman Home app. Set it up so the lights can turn on automatically just after sunset any day of the week, and then turn off automatically when you go to bed. And remember, if you want to keep the insects away from where you're sitting at night, put these decking lights, or the ones furthest away from you, on blue. Apparently insects are attracted to blue. I'd love to know if it actually works. So contact us via Facebook and tell us if you've had success. How easy is that? Don't they look fantastic? So good.
Now, this is one of those more unusual climbers. It lives in a symbiotic relationship with the grapevine. The grape grows in the spring, all through the summer, delivering fruit. And in the autumn, this vine takes off. Now, it produces these amazing fruit. I'm going to show you what it looks like. This is the choko. Now, it's a fruit from the South Pacific and South America, and you use it more as a vegetable. But when it comes to growing it, this is a really unusual fruit. The longer you leave them on the vine, the more likely you are to have a new plant. And you can see right here, this is the shoot actually emerging from the embryo of the seed in the middle of the fruit. Now, the fruit itself is pretty much finished. What you would do with this is you would take it, plant it in some soil to about that depth there, and the vine will grow. It uses the energy from the fruit to get going, and you've got yourself a brand new plant. Now's the time to be planting them out, and don't they look amazing?
There are all sorts of ferns on the planet. They're some of the earliest forms of plants related to cycads and conifers. But this one here is probably one that you don't want in the garden. It's the fishbone fern, and considered a weed, and spreads very quickly via spores. And before you know it, it's taking over your garden. So you do need to get them out, and show you what you got to do. And they're quite wiry. You've got to pull all those roots out, which is quite easy for me to do and demonstrate on a small section like this. But once you get into the bigger stuff, it's a bigger job, and I'd suggest you get the shovel involved.
The Garden Gurus have jumped in to support the Children's Cancer and Leukemia Foundation initiative to celebrate 40 years of supporting children and their families as they battle the challenge that they should never have to deal with. It was particularly important to me and my family. You see, back in May 2017, my then 10-year-old son, Harry, was diagnosed with a brain tumour and brain cancer. And whilst the diagnosis was earth-shattering, the next 2 years of treatment, which involved significant operations and intensive therapy, was really difficult to work through. Today, Harry is in remission and we're very grateful, but we're particularly thankful to the medical staff who helped us through it, and the many charitable organisations that support families that are going through the kind of trauma that we went through. So being able to help the Children's Leukemia and Cancer Research Foundation was really important to me, and their 40K in 40-day campaign was absolutely brilliant because it's all about kindness.
Children's Leukemia and Cancer Research Foundation have been funding childhood cancer research for 40 years now. This is actually our anniversary year. And yeah, we've been funding Telethon Kids Institute and the research here in WA for those 40 years.
Tell me a little bit about 40K in 40 days.
Well, originally, being our 40th anniversary this year, we started the year wanting to raise $40,000 in 40 days. And of course, as you know, it was a really difficult year. So we thought we can't really ask people for money. And I was like 4 o'clock in the morning when I do my best thinking, that I had this idea that we could pivot the campaign and turn our K into kindness. So what we did was reach out to 40 businesses and ask for them to donate a gift. And we asked people to nominate some very deserving people that were doing it tough.
And our winner, she's
Karen.
pretty special, isn't she?
She really is, and we were really impressed with the nominations that came through, and she does a lot of work with autistic kids. There were a lot of people that got behind her efforts and what she does for the community, and lots of autistic kids that come to this sanctuary that she's created.
Yeah, well, we're hoping we can add to that with a beautiful edible garden in this space.
I think it's going to be amazing.
So our job is to create an edible garden for Karen. I have my team here along with me and my mate Darren Senor, a very capable landscaper who's donated his time to support this worthy cause. And it all starts with a plan. And this is the plan developed up by Katie from the Garden Gurus team.
So the design is a small formal area with 4 veggie beds on the outer edges and an in-ground herb bed in the middle.
So these are raised beds on the
Yeah,
outside
they are.
edge?
So they'll be raised to 400 mil.
And then obviously paved, is that the plan through that?
Yeah, so it's paved so that kids in wheelchairs can have access to the beautiful veggie beds we're about to make.
Fantastic. And this is what the guys are setting out right now.
Sure is.
The raised beds will feature heat-treated pine set in place with retainer posts. The raised beds save your back from bending over constantly and make it easy to plant and harvest crops, which will only grow well if they have brilliant soil, which is exactly what we've managed to secure from Soils Ain't Soils. Good soil equals great produce, and this mix will really do the job. Now, Darren started doing the prep work for laying these amazing 600 by 600 mil porcelain pavers from Rima stone. These are made in Italy and they'll look sensational, laid over this yellow bricky sand, or alternatively you can put them on cracker dust.
When Captain James Cook sailed into Botany Bay, just south of current-day Sydney, he was looking for a vegetable or a fruit to supply vitamin C to his crew. This was for the prevention of scurvy, which was the scourge of seafarers of the age. The answer, he found it right beside the salty water. This plant is called Warrigal Greens or Botany Bay spinach. Today, you're likely to find Warrigal Greens on the menu of top-end restaurants where its slightly salty taste is celebrated. High levels of vitamin C and fibre make this leafy vegetable a healthy choice. And in the kitchen, it keeps its integrity when cooked, compared to English spinach. If you're using this in salads, just blanch it for 10 to 15 seconds in boiling water, take it out, dip it into fresh water, and then you can use it. Now, if you're doing any cooking, you don't need to go through this process to remove the oxalates. A lovely recipe is to steam the Warrigal greens just as you would Swiss chard and serve them with butter and lemon. In the garden, this is a quick-growing leafy vegetable that's tolerant of hot, dry conditions, light frost and even slightly saline water. This low spreading ground cover prefers a full sun position with plenty of air movement. It makes an attractive trailing pot specimen as well. Regular applications of sea salt and power feed will keep the plants healthy and growing well. Well, you can pick up this Swan Valley Nursery bush tucker plant from your local garden centre or Bunnings warehouses.
Spring is all about beautiful, bold colours in the garden and new release plants, which I've got a few on this table. But let's start with a favourite of mine. I grow it every single year, and it's this plant here called Petunia Cherry Black. Now, these flowers are a spectacular deep velvet violet, which really give the appearance of a black bloom. And this plant is what we call an annual, so it will only last up until winter. But the benefit of that is I get an empty pot and I can put another plant in. And then in the front, we've got a brand new release petunia called Galaxy. And this has beautiful plum coloured flowers with lime spotting. So you can really understand where it gets its name from. It really does look like a galaxy setting. Now, the difference between this petunia and the cherry black is that the Galaxy is what we call a soft perennial. So it can last you up to 2 years in your garden as long as you give it the right conditions. So plenty of sunshine, a really good potting mix if you're growing it in a pot, and plenty of fertilizer. And then last but certainly not least is this beautiful Agaranthemum called Malimba Red, and it's a fairly new release, and it has this wonderful domed shape, so it's perfect for pots, and you'll have flowers emerging in every single direction, and it is extremely long flowering. So there you have it, a few quite different flowers that you can enjoy in your garden this season.
Here's an example of a landscape within a landscape, creating a gorgeous succulent bowl. Now, anyone can do it. All we need is a few things. Some large specimen plants we'll pick up at the garden centre. Beg, borrow and steal some pieces from your friends or family, because most succulents grow by pieces, a good quality free draining potting mix and a large bowl. Plant them in here, feed them with controlled release fertiliser, and they'll look this gorgeous for at least a couple of years.
I've always fancied myself as a bit of a historian, especially when it comes to all things garden-esque. And I was fascinated, but not surprised to learn recently that the Egyptians and ancient Greeks were making and using pots some 10,000 years ago. Most interestingly, the Egyptians coated their pots with soda, copper mineral and quartz to make them non-porous. There are so many plants that are suited to growing in pots inside your home and, of course, outside as features in the garden. Remember that nearly all the plants we buy are grown in a pot in the first place, so having them in one permanently is no problem. Keeping your pot plants healthy requires a few simple steps. You should freshen up the mix at least once a year, and in many cases twice, say spring and autumn. And this is the perfect opportunity to do any root pruning. If you have a look here, you'll see it's a little bit congested around the bottom there. If you just pull those off, get rid of all that matting, and then tease out these other roots. Sometimes it's a lot worse than this. Cut all those off, trim them up with the secchies, and then the new roots can grow in to the fresh new potting mix. Now, an absolute must and favourite of mine is the care and maintenance. This includes watering and feeding. Overwatering is a common problem. If you stick your finger into the soil and it feels dry, then water. If it's still moist, wait a little. Powerfeed have come up with this simple-to-use spray that feeds your plants and conditions your soil with its liquid compost formulation. I'll tell you what, the boffins have excelled themselves with this one, and it's so easy to use. You just spray the soil every 2 to 4 weeks, and then stand back and admire the results. And it's got everything your plants need. It's got the nutrients, the fish, and the soil conditioner, and it's safe to use on natives too, so it's perfect. Another couple of tips for you. Keep the leaves free from dust just by wiping them down with a damp cloth, or in this case, I'm just using some damp paper towel. And when it's raining, stick them out in the rain to freshen them up.
Everyone loves the idea of fresh passion fruit. Just the smell of the fruit really says summer. And I think I've cracked the code to growing them successfully, as well as producing an abundance of fruit. Passion fruit grow really wide, so they need to be fed and watered the width of the root system. So you can imagine if this plant gets to 7 metres wide, that's where it needs to be fertilised and watered. And when it comes to fertiliser, a little bit regularly is so important throughout the growing season. And that's from August to May, every month to 6 weeks. They'll just bolt out of the ground. And pollinating is so important. The bees, when it comes to growing passion fruit, are your best friend. To attract bees to the garden, plant some alyssum, salvia or portulaca. These plants will flower at the same time as the passion fruit and the bees will do the rest.
How's this for a splash of dazzling colour? The museums of South Africa have an amazing array of different flower colours and forms. Their succulent plants as tough as all get up.
The days are getting longer, the temperatures are warming and plants are starting to grow. In fact, they'll start growing rapidly as the perfect spring weather conditions kick in. And that's good and bad. Good for the plants that you want happy, bad for you if there's a lot that you don't want growing in your garden, because they have the potential to take over. And now's the time to do something about it. It's time to hit the garden shed and pull out the grass trimmer and get your garden into shape. If your old grass trimmer's been sitting in the shed through the winter months, it's probably going to need a bit of maintenance to get it back on track and functioning. Now might be a good time to upgrade, and if you're going to upgrade, well, I've been raving about this new battery technology that's changed everything for home gardeners. The good news is you can get it with grass trimmers too. The latest grass trimmer to join Stihl's impressive lineup of battery-powered garden tools is this one, the FSA 57. Part of Stihl's AK battery system, which now has 10 different tools in total, including 4 mowers, 2 hedge trimmers, 2 chainsaws and a blower, meaning one battery can be used to power all the tools you need to maintain a medium to large-sized garden. This has to be one of the lightest and most well-balanced trimmers I've ever used. And there's no dragging cables behind you or having to put oil or fuel into the engine to power it. It's simply a case of just popping the battery into the slot and getting on with the job. It's got some carefully considered features that some other brands haven't even thought of, like the adjustable shaft length, which means you can set it to suit your height for comfortable operation. And this wire spacer guard is perfectly designed to meet the same length as the line, meaning you can trim right up to and around your fences, trees and play equipment without leaving any damage behind. One of the biggest pain points for people using these is when the line runs out off the head. And this can be a real difficulty when it comes to rethreading line through with grass trimmers, but not with the FSA 57. They've solved that. The mowing head simply needs a tap on the ground when the head is in full revs, and new line will automatically adjust to the correct length. Once the line has run out, it can be refilled without opening the housing. Simply feed through a length of line, turn the knob until it's wound in, and then snip, and you're ready to go. Now, I hear you ask the big question, how far will the FSA 57 go when it comes to looking after the edges in your garden? Well, if you've got the largest battery, this grass trimmer will cover the grand distance of 1.5 kilometres of edges. That is a lot of edges. I think I need a bigger garden. This level of performance is the result of over 90 years of German engineering excellence. So if you're in the market for a new grass trimmer this spring, then I'd suggest it's time to get up to speed with the world's leading technology in garden care and visit your local Stihl dealer, the only place to buy Stihl tools. They'll show you all the features and provide a level of after-sales support and care you just won't find anywhere else. How beautiful is this? What's not in flower now is going to be in the next few weeks, and that is the magic of springtime. We've got so much more to show you in the coming weeks as we've got more episodes of The Garden Gurus. I'm Trevor Cochran. We'll see you next week with all the gang from The Gurus for another great episode. See you then.